Hello, and welcome to Silver Seniors Health Tips. I'm Dr. Olivia Bennett, and I'm truly glad you're joining me today. We're about to explore some deeply valuable insights into your nighttime health, and I promise your body will thank you. If this is your first time here, I encourage you to subscribe. It's like joining a supportive, health-focused family. And if you find this video helpful, giving it a like helps us reach more amazing people like you. I also love hearing from my viewers, so feel free to share in the comments where you're tuning in from. Now let me ask you a personal question. Are you over 60 and waking up multiple times during the night to use the bathroom? It might seem like just another frustrating part of aging, but in truth, it's a serious disruptor of your sleep, your energy, and your quality of life. Studies show that 78% of older adults make one very common mistake before bed that dramatically increases their need to urinate during the night. The good news is that today you'll learn exactly what to avoid and how to make small changes that lead to full, uninterrupted nights of deep restorative sleep again. These nightly interruptions might feel harmless, but they build up over time. They leave you tired, mentally foggy, and eventually less confident in your own body. You may have started avoiding drinking water late in the day or skipping evening activities out of fear you won't sleep through the night. But what many people don't realize is this. There are 5 habits you may do every day that seem harmless, even healthy, but are actually training your body to wake up at night. Today, I'll break down each one, and more importantly, show you how to fix them simply and naturally. These insights are backed by medical research, years of sleep studies, and thousands of patient experiences, and they work. Before we begin, your support really helps us continue sharing these discoveries. If you care about your health, your independence, and your rest, feel free to hit like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments how many times you typically wake up to urinate. Your input helps guide this channel and keeps us focused on what matters most to you. Habit 1. Drinking fluids within 3 hours of bedtime. At first glance, this habit might seem obvious. Many seniors already try to avoid drinking water close to bedtime, hoping to reduce nighttime bathroom trips. But what most people overlook is that other liquids, ones that seem harmless or even healthy, can be just as disruptive to your sleep. Here's what actually happens in your body. When you consume fluids within 3 hours of lying down, your kidneys remain active at a time when they should be slowing down. Instead of conserving fluids and concentrating urine overnight, your body keeps producing more urine, filling your bladder, and forcing your brain to stay on high alert. This means more frequent wake-ups, broken sleep cycles, and reduced deep rest. The problem gets worse with hidden fluids. Think about soup at dinner, juicy fruits like watermelon or cantaloupe, or that calming cup of tea before bed. Even popsicles or certain medications taken with a full glass of water can contribute to your bladder filling up at the worst time, just as your body is trying to sleep. Let me tell you about Margaret, a 72-year-old woman from Phoenix, Arizona. For years, Margaret had been waking up 4 to 5 times a night to use the bathroom. She had tried everything, drinking less water, taking bladder medications, and even considering surgical procedures. Nothing helped. In her words, she felt like a prisoner of her own bladder. When I sat down with her, we didn't just look at how much she was drinking, we looked at when and what kind of fluids she was taking in. That's when it became clear. She was sipping chamomile tea before bed and eating soup as part of her evening meal. They seemed comforting, even healthy, but they were quietly sabotaging her sleep. We made one simple shift. Margaret began cutting off all fluids 3 hours before bedtime. Yes, even the hidden ones. That meant no drinks, no watery fruits, no soup, and just a small sip of water if she needed to take medication. The results? Within 2 weeks, her nightly bathroom trips dropped from 5 to just 1. Even more importantly, her sleep transformed. She started sleeping longer stretches, waking up less groggy, and slowly regained the kind of energy she hadn't felt in years. Margaret told me that her mornings felt brighter, her mood improved, and her family even noticed how much more engaged and active she had become. There's a biological reason this works so well. When you stop overloading your kidneys at night, your body naturally increases production of a hormone called vasopressin. This hormone helps your kidneys hold on to water and concentrate your urine, meaning your bladder doesn't fill up as quickly. That leads to fewer trips to the bathroom and deeper, uninterrupted sleep. So how can you apply this in your own life? Set a firm hydration cutoff, 3 hours before your normal bedtime. If you go to sleep at 10 p.m., aim to stop drinking fluids by 7 p.m. That includes water, tea, juice, soups, fruits with high water content, and even sneaky sources like gelatin or yogurt drinks. If your medication requires fluids, use only the smallest sip necessary. And if you have medical needs that require evening hydration, consult your doctor to shift that fluid intake earlier in the day. The difference this one habit makes can be profound. Several months after our initial conversation, Margaret told me she was sleeping like she had in her 50s. Her grandchildren couldn't believe how much more energetic she was, all from a change so simple you could start it tonight. In the next section, we'll uncover another sleep-destroying habit that almost every older adult is guilty of, and how breaking it could help retrain your bladder and reclaim your rest. Habit 2. Eating dinner too late and choosing diuretic foods in the evening. This next habit is something I see in nearly every older adult I work with. It's incredibly common, and most people have no idea it's affecting their sleep. In fact, I'd estimate that over 80% of seniors unknowingly make this mistake: eating dinner too late in the evening and including foods that actually stimulate the bladder. Here's the core of the problem. When you eat your final meal of the day too close to bedtime, especially if that meal includes natural diuretics, you are setting yourself up for interrupted sleep. Diuretic foods don't just make you urinate more, they tell your kidneys to stay active long into the night, producing extra urine at a time when your body should be slowing down. These foods are often seen as healthy, things like tomato, cucumber, celery, asparagus, and watermelon are all high in water and contain compounds that stimulate your kidneys. Even coffee, green tea, chocolate, and herbs like parsley or cilantro can act as mild diuretics. If consumed after mid-afternoon, they may quietly sabotage your ability to sleep through the night. To understand how powerful this effect can be, let me introduce you to Robert. He's 68 years old, a retired engineer from Tampa, Florida. Robert described himself as a late eater. His typical dinner started around 8:30 in the evening, and he often had a snack at 9:30 before going to bed. He thought he was being healthy by including raw vegetables like tomato and cucumber and drinking a cup of green tea to help digestion. But each night, like clockwork, Robert would wake up at 1 in the morning, then again around 3:30, and finally at 5:30. He thought it was just normal aging, but the truth was, his bladder was working on overdrive because of what he was eating and when he was eating it. Once he adjusted his dinner to 6:30 in the evening and removed diuretic foods after 4 p.m., everything began to shift. Within 10 days, Robert reported waking up only once per night. By the third week, he experienced entire nights of uninterrupted sleep, something he hadn't had in over a decade. This change didn't just help his sleep, it improved his digestion, reduced morning bloating, and gave him a renewed sense of clarity and stamina during the day. There's a physiological explanation behind this. Your digestive system needs about 3 to 4 hours to fully process a meal. When you eat too late, digestion continues into the night and delays the shutdown of systems that should be at rest. Certain compounds in food, especially natural diuretics, stay in your bloodstream longer when you are lying down. This prolongs their effect on the kidneys and results in higher urine production during the very hours when you should be resting. There's also a salt-related issue. High sodium foods, which are common in many diets, make the body retain fluid throughout the day. But during the night, when you're lying flat, that retained fluid gets released and processed into urine, making your bladder wake you up. The result is not just poor sleep, but also a disrupted hormonal cycle and rising blood pressure over time. So, how can you fix this? The ideal strategy is to finish dinner at least 4 hours before you go to bed. If your bedtime is 9, then dinner should happen between 5 and 6. If that feels too early, even a small adjustment of 1 hour earlier can begin to help. Also, avoid known diuretics after mid-afternoon. That includes raw vegetables with high water content, caffeine, green tea, chocolate, and alcohol. If you take medications that require food, speak with your doctor about shifting your schedule. And if you feel hungry later in the evening, choose foods that are neutral or calming, such as oats, banana, or a small portion of lean protein. When Robert told me, in his own words, that he now eats dinner like a king at 6 and sleeps like a baby by 9, I knew he had taken control of something far more important than just his sleep. He had taken back his sense of confidence and well-being. In our next section, we'll explore a habit that almost everyone thinks is helpful, but is actually teaching your bladder to wake you up on purpose. Habit 3. Using the bathroom, just in case. Before bed. This third habit is one of the most deceptive because on the surface it feels like you're doing something smart. Most seniors I meet believe that using the bathroom before bed, even if they don't feel the urge, is a helpful routine. In fact, many see it as a way to prevent waking up during the night. But the truth is, this habit may be one of the primary reasons you continue waking up in the first place. Here's why. Every time you empty your bladder when it's not full, you're teaching your body to function at a reduced capacity. Over time, this creates a pattern. Your bladder learns that it doesn't need to expand, that even small amounts of urine are reason enough to signal urgency. This training lowers your threshold for the sensation of fullness, and it means that even minor pressure in the bladder triggers the signal to wake up and go. The science behind this is quite fascinating. A healthy adult bladder can typically hold 300 to 500 milliliters of urine before sending a strong signal to the brain. But if you get in the habit of urinating at 100 or 150 milliliters, your body begins to think that's the new full point. This rewires your brain-bladder connection and causes frequent, unnecessary nighttime awakenings. Let me tell you about Dorothy, a 74-year-old widow from Seattle. She described herself as someone who always played it safe. Every night before bed, whether she felt the need or not, she went to the bathroom just in case. Over time, Dorothy began waking up around midnight, then again at 2, and sometimes even before 5. She was exhausted, anxious, and convinced her bladder was failing. When we talked, I explained that she had likely trained her bladder into a hyper-responsive mode. She was waking up not because she had too much urine, but because her bladder had lost the ability to stretch and store it. Once she understood the concept, she decided to try the bladder retraining protocol I recommend. Over several weeks, Dorothy learned to wait for a true urge before going to the bathroom. She stopped using the restroom just in case before bed unless she genuinely felt the need. She also practiced distraction techniques like listening to soft music or reading for 15 minutes when she thought she might need to go but wasn't sure. Within 3 weeks, Dorothy went from waking 3 times a night to only once, and some nights not at all. The impact was profound. Her sleep improved, her anxiety at bedtime vanished, and most importantly, she began trusting her body again. To implement this strategy, follow what I call the real need rule. Only go to the bathroom at night if your body gives you a clear, undeniable urge. If you're just going because you're nervous or unsure, give yourself a little time. Most of the time, you'll find the urge fades away. This trains your bladder to regain normal storage capacity and signals your brain to relax at night. If you have incontinence or take diuretics, It's important to speak with your doctor before making changes. But even in those cases, partial retraining is often possible and effective. Dorothy told me months later that she felt like she had broken free from a cycle of fear and dependence. She finally felt in control again, not just of her bladder, but of her rest, her mood, and her life. In the next part, we'll explore a habit that doesn't involve food, liquids, or behavior, but has everything to do with how you position your body at night. Let's continue. Habit 4. Sleeping in the wrong position with poor pillow support. This next habit has to do with something we often overlook: the way we position our bodies while we sleep. Most people assume that how you lie in bed only affects your comfort, but for older adults, your sleeping position and pillow setup can significantly influence how often you wake up at night to use the bathroom. Here's what happens. When you sleep in positions that compress your abdomen, such as lying on your stomach or twisted awkwardly, you create physical pressure on the bladder. This pressure can trigger a false sense of urgency, especially during light stages of sleep when you're more likely to wake up. There's another layer to this. When your pillows are positioned poorly, either too high, too flat, or unsupportive, it disrupts blood circulation and venous return. That leads to fluid retention in your lower body throughout the day, which then shifts back into your bloodstream when you lie down. Your kidneys detect this sudden change in blood volume and respond by producing more urine during the night. All of this means one thing: if you sleep in the wrong position with the wrong pillow support, your body is working against its own natural rhythm, and your bladder ends up paying the price. Let me tell you about Frank, a 71-year-old veteran from Denver, Colorado. Frank had always been a stomach sleeper. He found it familiar and comfortable, especially after years in the military. But he also suffered from chronic back pain and was waking up 3 or 4 times a night to use the bathroom. He assumed it was due to aging or a prostate issue, but nothing his urologist found explained it fully. When I asked him to consider his sleep posture, he was skeptical. But with some encouragement, he agreed to try sleeping on his side with a pillow between his knees and proper head support. Within 2 weeks, Frank reported waking up only once a night. A few weeks later, he began sleeping full nights, uninterrupted. His back pain improved, his mood was better, and most importantly, he felt rested, something he hadn't experienced in years. This kind of result is not uncommon. Sleeping on your side, preferably the left side, helps relieve pressure on the bladder and promotes better circulation. A pillow between your knees keeps your hips aligned and your spine straight, which reduces inflammation and pain. A properly positioned head pillow supports neutral neck alignment, reducing tension and improving breathing. To implement this change, begin by adjusting your sleep setup. Use a medium firm pillow between your knees and a head pillow that keeps your chin slightly tucked, not raised. If you're used to sleeping on your stomach, try leaning toward your side with a supporting pillow behind your back. Transition gradually until the new position feels comfortable. For those with arthritis or joint problems, there are specially designed ergonomic pillows that can ease the process. Avoid sleeping on your back if you suffer from sleep apnea or heavy snoring. Lying flat can aggravate those conditions and reduce oxygen flow, which further disrupts your sleep. Frank told me weeks later that changing his sleep position felt like uncovering a secret no one had ever told him. He didn't need new medication. He just needed a new way to rest. In the next section, we'll look at one of the most overlooked factors of all, something that might seem minor but has a direct impact on hormone levels and bladder function. Let's continue. Habit 5. Sleeping in a room that's too warm or wearing the wrong sleepwear. This final habit may surprise you the most. It's not about what you eat or drink. It's not about how you move or breathe. It's about something as simple as the temperature of your room and the type of clothing you wear to bed. Yet, this is one of the most underestimated causes of nocturia in older adults. Here's why it matters. Your body's ability to regulate urine production during the night is directly tied to temperature. When your room is too warm, or when your pajamas trap too much heat, your body enters a mild state of thermal stress. That stress interferes with the production of vasopressin, the very hormone that helps you concentrate urine and reduce the need to urinate overnight. At the same time, excess heat causes your blood vessels to expand, pushing more fluid through your system. This means your kidneys filter more blood and produce more urine, right when you should be resting. Let me share a story that illustrates this perfectly. Eleanor, a 69-year-old retired teacher from Miami, had been dealing with nocturia for over 5 years. She never liked using air conditioning at night. She also wore thick flannel pajamas, even during the warmer months. She told me she often woke up soaked in sweat and rushing to the bathroom 4 or 5 times each night. She thought she was just a naturally warm sleeper. When we examined her sleep environment, it became clear that her body was struggling to stay in balance. Once she began sleeping in a cooler room and switched to breathable cotton sleepwear, the results came quickly. In just 1 week, Eleanor reduced her nighttime bathroom trips from 5 to 2. By the 3rd week, some nights she didn't wake up at all. There's solid science behind this. During restful sleep, your body temperature naturally drops by about 1 to 2 degrees Celsius. This cooling process helps signal the brain to increase melatonin and vasopressin, the very hormones that support deep sleep and fluid retention. When your room is too warm or your clothing traps heat, this entire process is disrupted. The result is lighter sleep and more trips to the bathroom. So how can you fix this? Keep your bedroom temperature between 64 and 68 degrees Fahrenheit. That's 18 to 20 degrees Celsius. Use lightweight breathable fabrics like cotton or bamboo. Avoid synthetic materials and thick insulated pajamas that trap heat. If you live in a warmer climate and can't afford air conditioning, consider using a fan or opening a window to promote air circulation. If you tend to feel cold at night, use layers that can be easily removed rather than one heavy blanket. And if you're taking medications that affect temperature regulation, speak with your physician about how to adjust your sleepwear or environment without affecting your treatment plan. Eleanor later told me that she never imagined something as simple as temperature could change her life. But now she sleeps more deeply, feels rested in the morning, and no longer plans her evenings around her fear of nighttime bathroom trips. And that brings us to the end of the 5 most common habits that silently disrupt sleep and increase nighttime urination in seniors. In our final section, I'll explain how to put everything together in a way that works for your lifestyle, and why making these small changes can restore not just your sleep, but your sense of energy, clarity, and confidence. Let's move on to our conclusion. Now that we've uncovered the 5 most common habits that quietly disrupt your nights, let's talk about how to put these insights into action. Because the truth is, once you begin correcting these habits, your sleep can change faster than you think. Each of these changes may seem small on its own: avoiding late liquids, moving dinner earlier, skipping the just-in-case bathroom trip, adjusting your sleep posture, and cooling down your room. But together, they form a strategy that supports your body's natural rhythms, restores hormonal balance, and dramatically reduces nighttime urination. These aren't complicated medical treatments. They don't require surgery or expensive medications. What they require is awareness and the willingness to shift habits you may have followed for years. And once you make these adjustments, the benefits extend far beyond better sleep. You regain energy throughout the day. You think more clearly. Your mood lifts. You start looking forward to evenings again. For many of my patients, the most powerful change isn't just the longer hours of sleep. It's the return of confidence, the ability to trust their body again, and the freedom to live on their own terms. What's most extraordinary is that all of this is within your control. You don't have to wait for a new diagnosis or a prescription. You can start making progress tonight. Many people notice improvements within just a few days, and some, like the patients you've heard about today, see life-changing results in just a few weeks. Remember, your body is incredibly capable of healing and adapting, even in your 60s, 70s, or 80s. With the right conditions, it knows how to restore balance. You just have to give it the opportunity. If you've made it to the end of this video, it tells me something very important. You care about your health, your independence, and your future. And that commitment is what makes all the difference. At Silver Seniors Health Tips, our mission is to support that commitment with real information, grounded in science, and guided by experience. So if this video helped you, consider sharing it with someone you care about. It might make the same difference in their life that it could make in yours. And if you'd like more insights like these, strategies to sleep better, move better, and live with greater vitality, subscribe to the channel and stay connected. You'll always be the first to know when we release something new. Until next time, take care of yourself with wisdom, with patience, and with confidence. I'm Dr. Dan Mercer, and I'll see you in the next video.